I want to comment about GEMA. GEMA during Kenyatta's time, Jomo Kenyatta's time, and GEMA today. I want to do what we were taught in school that was called compare and contrast. Uh, I'm provoked to record this because some Kikuyu elders, Kiama, have revived, purportedly to have revived GEMA, and they have said that, GEMA used to be Gikuyu, Embu, Meru Association. They have taken that GEMA, they want to alter the word association, they want to change it with Akamba. So that instead of Gikuyu Embu Meru Association, it becomes Gikuyu Embu Meru Akamba. I have historical facts. I've gone to Google. Unfortunately, those people who are compiling information in Google are people younger than me. They were not there during Jomo Kenyatta's time, or if they were there, they had not even started primary school. So they do not know about how GEMA was then to even authoritatively comment on it. My purpose of my channel is to usually transport you up to that historical time. I'm very happy when some people, young people, do two things or even three, because one is they watch my video. Two, they thank me and even joke. They even go to an extent of joking by saying that their history teacher should refund their school fees, especially on the subject of history. And three, they visit the till number. I want you to have a feeling of what GEMA was. There were so many tribe organizations, but today we are talking about GEMA. Not just GEMA. We are talking about GEMA exchanging the word association with Akamba. Why am I saying so? It's because they say that the more things change, the more things remain the same. Why am I saying so? If Jomo Kenyatta would not have died at that time, if Jomo Kenyatta would have stayed 5 more years and then died 5 more years later, meaning that instead of Jomo Kenyatta dying in 1978, if Jomo Kenyatta would have died around 1983, there were plans and it was in an advanced stage of changing GEMA from Gikuyu Embu Meru Association to Gikuyu Embu Meru Akamba. It was in, can I say it was in the change or the amendment or the amalgamation was in 90%, 90%, 91%, 92%, somewhere there, almost 100%. But Kenyatta died and Moi came and dismantled all tribe organization. But most of his ire, most of his anger was directed at GEMA for reasons that we will share soon. So As I've said, history, the more things change, the more things remain the same. If Jomo Kenyatta would have died in 1983, GEMA would have transformed itself into Akamba at the end. So these people who are reviving GEMA, they are also reviving Akamba. Mine is only to give you the picture. Some people may, I find things very funny because some people, you'll find around 8 people blaming me that I am for the revival of GEMA, and 2 would be members of GEMA who would be blaming me for being anti-GEMA and even disclosing their secrets. But from where I'm seated, I plead that mine is only to place the facts on the table. Intelligence officers do not make decisions. Intelligence officers give you all the options and let you make a decision. There is no time an intelligence officer will ever complain that you did not follow what he or she told you. So mine is only to give you the facts, and what you do with the facts, that is up to you. A long time ago, and today's episode is, the intention is to talk about, the intention of today's episode is to talk about tribal and social, economic, cultural. Hey, mambo mengi hapo. It is only to comment on that. But you'll find that somehow I'll talk about politics, but the intention is only to talk for this tribal, cultural, economic, and so on and so forth. We used to have one political party, a Kenyan national political party, which was called KAU, Kenya African Union. But the British did not want Kenya to have a united thing, be it whatever, be it political, be it cultural, be it anything, call it. They wanted us to have district-based organization, be they political, cultural, or anything. So when KAU was prescribed, a lot of district-based or even regionally based political associations started. We had Kavirondo, we had what later became GEMA, and so on and so forth. No, GEMA was social, but we had one like Tomboya started one in Nairobi, which was called Nairobi District Progress, something like that, but Nairobi based. So it continued that way, whereby in every region or every tribe or every district, we had 2 types of organizations. We had socio-economic and cultural organizations, and we also had political. Just like we had Kavirondo Taxpayers Association, which was political. Msidhani Zakayo alianza leo. We had Kavirondo Taxpayers. But then Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who was not a politician, started what was called Luo Thrift. Luo Thrift, and from the word thrift comes the meaning that business oriented, and it was a very good business oriented thing, and they used also to use that as cultural thing. That one even started long ago, before even the people in the mountain could start that. And the people in the mountain had also another disadvantage, that the colonial government never trusted them at all, at all, at all. So anything that they did, the colonial government used to put them down because they used to suspect them. But anyway, we had Luo Thrift. We even had even after independence, we had a New Luo Union, and with this organization, They even had sports activities, cultural activities. I remember in the 70s, even GEMA, as a cultural business orientation or something, they had a football club. Nowadays, you can even, if you check on, I'm not such a big fan of football, although my name is Kadenge. Uh, you find that nowadays, if you check on the Harambe 11, you'll not miss a Kikuyu name there. Some people joke that when football was a sporting activities without money, but when professional football came, my cousins anyway, that is a joke, and we accept it as such. You'll find that during those days we had GEMA FC, but if GEMA FC, you'd look at it, the players, the starting 11, uh, four were Luos, four were Luhias. That is 8 out of 11. That is GEMA FC. So these things had started, and that is why even you'd find football clubs with the tribal names. Those are the days we had, apart from Gor Mahia, we had Luo Union. We had Luo Union. Apart from Abaluya Football Club, we had Maragoli United. And we even in Nakuru, we had a football team called Abeyingo. Abeyingo. Abeyingo means watu wa nyumbani, ado amushie. Jothurwa. Jothurwa. Wamasai wanasiita Ndauo. Ndauo means mtu wa kwetu. So that is Abeyingo. These things continued. Mostly they were business, cultural, and so on, as I've said. But Jomo Kenyatta, in order to instill some culture into African culture into our parliament, whenever you could be taken, you'd be elected as the chairman. Those days we did not have party president or party leaders. So those days, once you are elected, the overall chairman of your tribe organization, Jomo Kenyatta would automatically make you a nominated MP. So out of the 12 nominated MPs, many of them kina no, what was his name? The gamer person, I'll remember his name. He was a nominated MP, and others and others and others. There was somebody called Paul Mboya. Yeah, Paul Mboya was representing the Luo culture. So it was a good idea, if you ask me, that Jomo Kenyatta decided to take all tribal organizations to have their leaders in parliament to instill the African culture of having tribal leaders respected. But things started getting south when at first Luos Luo differed with the Kikuyus at first. Then later the Kikuyus targeted Moi, and even simultaneously as they targeted Moi, they even targeted the Kikuyus themselves. Why do I say they targeted the Kikuyus themselves? There was politics that came that said, at all, there is no time that Odhamaki kingdom will bypass River Chania. But what they mistook was, we have two River Chanias. There is River Chania, which is at Blue Post in Thika, and there is another River Chania in Nyeri. Now, if they say that kingship will never go north of River Chania, they were right, because even up to now, if you take the Nyeri River Chania, Othaya is south of that. So they started off with the Luos, went to Kalenjins, then went to the Kikuyus themselves, the River Chania thing. Things started going south with the Luos when, in a matter of months, if not years, Akin Kothek died in a road accident, which is very suspicious. I've recorded that video, if you can check, about 18 months ago, where I've gone to even the place where Akin Kothek had an accident and died. So Akin Kothek from Game Yala, Siaya district, that time it was district, died in a mysterious accident. Tomboya, although Tomboya was a Nairobi, what do you call, politician, but he came from Bita, South Nyanza. South Nyanza today the South Nyanza district today is two counties. There is Homa Bay and there is Migori. So he just, in a matter of, I don't know how short the period was, the two had died, and before that, before they died, Jaramogi had been segregated. So that is when leaders in Gema went to the president and said, if other tribes are against you, then we will gang up behind you. Then they ganged up, where they were now trying to segregate the Luos from now the Kenyan government. At that time, of course, they got Jomo Kenyatta's attention. If you Google, you'll be misled. In the Google, they say that Gema was started in the 60s or 70s, and Charles Njonjo registered it in the 1970s, and he was against that. Well, to a person like me, and that is why I don't like people who tell me, can you summarize what you are saying? Because sometimes when you summarize, a person like me, when I Google and see that, I understand. But for a person like you, my intention is that my whole story, you just don't go anywhere else. You get all the facts here. Get all the facts here. That is why I prolong my stories. The registration of tribal organization, including GEMA, was in the 60s. And as anybody will tell you, registration of society, the register of societies is an is called a registrar general, and he or she works under, is answerable to the attorney general. So Gema and other tribal whatever were registered by the register of societies, who used to work under Njonjo. Gema, when it started, had Njonjo's blessing. That was in the 60s. But when it reached the 70s, that is what I'm now trying to tell you, that with the two sentences I've just said, you cannot understand, especially if you are young. Now in the 70s, in the 60s, Njonjo supported Gema. But in the 70s, he did not like Gema. Why? In the 70s, after Gema made sure that Luos were sidelined, now they turned into their internal affairs. And they turned against Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. But you see, Njonjo and Kibaki were for Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. So Gema were trying to imagine that after fighting a very big tribe and pushing them aside, now Atugen now coming to take these things, that is when Gema entered into KANU, just like in South Africa. Those who know the politics of South Africa, we have African National Congress and we have South Africa Communist Party, SACP. Now you find that all members of SACP are in African National Congress, but not all members of African National Congress are in the SACP, South African Communist Party. So all members of GEMA became members of KANU, and all members of KANU were not GEMA, because some were not even GEMA tribe. So what happened is that now members of the Kikuyu started taking oaths. They used to call it Shai. Don't confuse it with the song of Shaiwa 14. Shaiwa 14, in Moranga, they used to have locations named after. In other places, locations were named after places, whatever. But in Moranga, they used to call it location 1, location 2. So people, you'll find near Nyumbaga loco 20, loco 15. So Shaiwa 14, there's a time when they went to a location called 14, because the location were given numbers. And when they went to location number 14, they took tea there. So that is why it's called Shaiwa 14. But then there is another Shai which was being taken. People would go to this what do you call a tea room. There is a place called tea room. It is called tea room because there used to be a hotel there, so people used to go to take tea in that. But people would be board vehicles from there. People from GEMA collection of tribes, they would be taken to Gatundu, and they would be given oaths. And you see, the oaths was a connotation of herbs. Oats was taken as a connotation of herbs, where it used to be mixed and it used to look like tea without sugar. It looked like tea without sugar. That is why they were saying, let's go and take tea. As they were consolidating that, GEMA also wanted to incorporate more people. They felt that they could incorporate Kambas. If you go to Kikuyus, they believe that Kambas used to be Kikuyus. Kambas used to be Kikuyu, and it is said that a lady from Moranga went away and started her family those sides. And they were called Kamba by people from coast because they were very good in making of the robes. Now it reached a time when, uh, and this problem started in 1968. It started in 1968. There's a time when Jomo Kenyatta collapsed in State House, Mombasa. There's a time in 1968, Jomo Kenyatta collapsed in State House, Mombasa, where the Kikuyus now knew that he could die anytime. I can tell you, being a security officer, that Jomo Kenyatta's funeral was organized in 1968, 10 years before he died. And some of the people who even started organizing, they died ahead of that. If you want to know more, there is a General Retired Opande. He stays next to University of Eldoret. He can give you the whole detail. Now, when he collapsed in 1968, there was alarm. That is when, around 1971, things used to happen simultaneously. There were this change the constitution, where the GEMA people would go around, where they were saying that it is not a must that for the vice president to be removed. And the people who were very vocal was the chairman of Jenga Mungai. He was the chairman of I'm not very sure of the name, but I'll write it on the comment. He was Jenga Karume. Yeah, he was Jenga Karume. Jenga Karume was the chairman. He was vocal, but not as vocal as the organizing secretary of GEMA, who was Kihika Kimani, the father to Nakuru, Susan Kimani, Susan Kihika, the governor of Nakuru. They were they were going out, and actually things would have succeeded. As they were doing that, they were also pulling in the Wakamba. The Wakambas had their tribal organization, which was called New Akamba Union. Now, New Akamba Union, which was under Mulu Mutisia. And as I told you that Jomo Kenyatta had appointed leaders from tribal organizations and made them nominated MP. That is how Mulu Mutisia found himself in parliament. There was a law which was said that for you to be a member of parliament, you have to have a certain level of education. and Jomo Kenyatta wrote, and that is where some of this law, like today, the president of Kenya, although other countries have those law, but in Kenya, it started when such a time when people like Mulu Mutisia, people like Paul Ngei had cases, and the law was passed that the president could overrule. But for Mulu Mutisia, president just wrote a letter to the speaker and said he knows that Mulu Mutisia had reached Form 4. But the important thing was for every tribal organization to have its leader in parliament as a nominated MP. But then there was a push to combine GEMA. That was in the around 1975. There was move to combine GEMA and the new Akamba Union. Now, the Akambas used to call it now. There were plans to combine them so that new Akamba Union joins GEMA the way Zanzibar joined Tanganyika to form Tanzania. And then the name would be changed from Gikuyu Embu Meru Association. It would be formed to be Gikuyu Embu Meru Akamba. And then as history happened, Jomo Kenyatta died. And when Moi took over, he targeted tribal clashes. The actual target was GEMA, but he had to go for other tribal clashes. It's tribal associations. He said from now henceforth, no association will be called by tribe. But you see, GEMA had a lot of businesses, so the business were given whatever holding, but it evolved from GEMA. That one did not stop from there, because if you want to eliminate one person, you eliminate all those who are around him. Said we don't even want football clubs that are sports organizations that are tribal in nature. By then, the chairman of Gor Mahia was David Oluoch Opar from Karachuonyo. He's the one who came up with the name. You see, Gor Mahia, he came up with the name Gulf. You know, Kisumu is at Kavirondo Gulf, isn't it? Then he came up with the name Gulf Olympic Rangers. Gulf Olympic Rangers. In initials, that is GOR. But then there was a problem when he called it Gulf Olympic Rangers, because we have the Olympic organization worldwide, which had patented its name. You could not call any organization Olympic unless it was like the Kenyan Olympic team, which was part of the International Olympic Organization. So there was that pushing, but then word reached Moi that Gor Mahia is not a tribal name. Gor Mahia is an individual's name, somebody's name. That is why you even hear people like Gor Sungu. Gor Sungu. Gor is somebody's name. Now, when Tom Mboya was starting this team, there was a problem on naming the team. There were two prominent Luo warrior chiefs, and the one was Gor, and the other one was Luanda Magere. So they really looked for a way to name that. There were some who wanted the football team to be called Luanda Magere, and others wanted to call it Gor Mahia. But then, whatever happened, Gor Mahia took over. Now, Gor Mahia, for those who understand Luo, remember, my father was called Lando. Gor Mahia means mighty Gor, or Gor who causes thunder, or Gor who anaitisha. If you're a Kikuyu, Gor wa magegania. The person who, when he walks, thunder, whatever. The wonderful Gor or something like that. So Moi was told that the name Gor Mahia is not a tribal, but it means that somebody who is called Gor, who was mysterious. Yeah, I think Luos can make a better comment in the comment, but I think it is Gor the mysterious Gor. So he allowed Gor Mahia to continue being called Gor Mahia up to today. Abaluya Football Club tried to change the name. If it were today, maybe they would have even changed to Ingwe. But they looked for a way they could not find. So that is why they started calling themselves AFC Leopards. AFC is a silent word for Abaluya Football Club. Maragoli, they changed their name to Imara FC. There was another, you see, Luhias had two teams. Luhias had Abaluya Football Club and had Maragoli. So they changed it to FC Leopards and they also changed it to Imara Football Club. Luos had two. Luos had Gor Mahia, and since Gor Mahia was declared a person's name, then they retained that. And then there was another one which was called Luo Union. Luo Union was changed to Reunion. That is how Moi killed that. He wanted also to change the name of Shabana, the Kisii team, but he was told Shabana is not even a Kisii word. There is a businessman, an Indian businessman called, I think, Khan, who started a football club in Kisii town and named it after, is it his daughter or his mother or his grandmother, something, a lady from his lineage. And that is how they died. Now, tribal teams are not yet back. Tribal teams cannot be back, or maybe they would be allowed to come back anyway. I don't know, but they have been using a backdoor way of reclaiming tribal teams. This is when they call them Council of Elders, Kiama, such and such a thing. Now Kiama is coming with a duplicate name where they're calling themselves GEMA. So that is why, for political purpose of the 2027, they are trying to bring in Wakambas and do what their forefathers did in 1975, where they tried to join up GEMA, and they tried to combine GEMA and now New Akamba Union to form GEMA. So the more things change, the more things remain the same. My viewers, I've told you about GEMA, then GEMA plus Akamba, then GEMA plus Akamba today. Thank you for supporting this channel.